What's going on, gamers? Today I'm going to take you on a quick tour of the Atari Jaguar. Show you what it looks like, how it works, do a quick quality report on it, and hook it up to the TV, see if I can't get a little bit of demo footage for you on one of the games. So, we'll get right into it. This is the Jaguar itself. It's very simple design. You see the red Jaguar lettering there, Atari 64-bit interactive multimedia system. Whether or not you believe that is your own prerogative. This is the only operating button the system has here, and you have a power LED here, which is red. I've seen some consoles on YouTube videos or other people have the lights green. I think this is the way it was meant to be. There's no reset button on the system itself. It's on the controller. I'll show you how that works in a bit. Up here you see a little groove here that's actually for the CD unit, which I also have, but we'll get to that in a separate video. Cartridge slot. You notice there's no dust cover on it, which, so it's always a good idea to leave a game in these. Some functional vents up here. Front of the system you have two Sega Genesis 2600, 7800 style controller ports, except for one difference is that these are the female connectors on the front of the system instead of the male connectors, which sometimes the controllers tend to fall out depending on, I have one controller that falls out real easily, one controller that doesn't. So I think it's hit or miss on that. Each side has this little extension here. I don't know why, but it's there. And on the back of the system, you have all your various connections. You have your AC in here, RF out here if you're using an RF switch, which if you have a Jaguar, I do not recommend it at all. The RF switch on these things is a complete piece of shit. On each different game, there's always one button on the controller that if you push it, a whole bunch of static lines come across the screen. I've, been on forums, blogs, everything. People have said that the RF switches for the Jaguar are horrid. I do not recommend it at all. Your channel select here, and I'm using a crappy cell phone camera, so I don't know if this comes through real clear, but up here you have L and H. It's low and high, whatever you want to call it, but it's basically channel 3 and 4. Channel 3 being low, channel 4 being high if you're using the RF switch. And here we have some exposed circuitry, another kind of cost-cutting measure, along with the lack of a dust cover up here, I think, because Atari was hemorrhaging money at the time. But the larger one is for your AV out. You have either an Atari video cable or a third-party one, which I have. The one I use is the cat's eye cable, which I have a problem with too, but it could just be the S-video connection, which is the one I use. And then over here you have the serial port that the JagLink hooks up to. I believe that's the only accessory that this port uses other than the CAD box, which would use both of these. But the only Atari released product that uses this port is the JagLink, which connects two systems together to play games like Doom, Air Cars, and Battlesphere. I think they're the only ones that are compatible with this. So that is the system itself. Set this aside for a second. I'm going to show you the much maligned Jaguar controller. For what it is, it does have a lot of wire to it. It'll get across the room, no problem. And here you have your connector. And oddly enough, some of these have more connectors on them than others. I don't know why that is. Go Atari. But this controller is actually not that bad to hold if you're just doing the top part of it. But the trouble can be reaching the buttons below. You either have to let go of the D-pad or let go of these buttons if you're playing Doom or Alien vs. Predator. You're in the middle of a firefight or something, or you're playing Iron Soldier. There's a good example. This can be kind of awkward to use at times. On the back you have extensions for your hand to grip. Little finger grooves up here. There was a Pro controller released. Unfortunately, I don't own that. Those are pretty expensive. They can go for about $80-90 since they're a rarity. But they're a little different. There's a little groove in here that makes the overlays easier to pop off, and then they also have shoulder buttons up top, which the normal controllers don't have. The D-pad can be kind of stiff. It's easy to pick what direction you want to go, but you're always seemingly pushing another direction too. You know, not the best D-pad ever. I think the one on the Pro Controller looks like it'd be easier to use, but I can't, don't quote me on that. I haven't actually used it. Now up here you have your pause button, which is self-explanatory, and your option button, which would bring up an options menu. Like most games, it's usually volume levels, whatever. But that is the controller itself. All 12 buttons are functional, but not every game uses this. Not nearly every game has an overlay, actually. I think I have about a little over 20 games between the base cartridge unit and the Jag CD. Maybe 6 or 7 of them have overlays. So, you can kind of see where that went. I don't know why this would be voted the worst controller ever. I can probably think of worse. It's probably just because of the keypad, and it was really taboo at the time. Up here, we have the boxes for the Jaguar games. Also a memory track for the Jag CD, which, I'll get into in the Jaguar CD video, but needless to say, that is absolutely essential. If you have a Jaguar CD, there's no way of saving games if you don't have that. So, let me grab Doom here, since that's the cartridge I have out. Probably my favorite game on the Jaguar at the moment. But that's the box for Doom. The red and black theme I think is really cool. I've always kind of, for some reason, been a fan of both of those colors. On the side you have what the game is, its product number, 4 screenshots on the back, descriptions in English, French, and German. Now the front is kind of a cool feature too. You also have a screenshot on the front of the box, which, a lot of cases you always have to look at the back to get an idea of what gameplay would look like. This is right there for you. And of course, Doom is one of the games that uses the Jag Link for deathmatch and co-op, I believe. Then these are what the games themselves look like. There's a label on the front. This is one of the older ones, the 1994 games. The 1995 games had the artwork on this half, and on this half you had just a blank black part of the label with all the legal, and the Jaguar 64-bit logo on it. Your connector here. All of the first-party games have an Atari logo embedded into the back of the cartridge. The third-party games do not have that. It's still, this part of the cartridge is still there, just there's no Atari logo. And then up top you have the famous handle to pull your games out if you want to use it. Sort of looks like a Japanese temple. Games go into your system like so. Again, because there's no dust cover, it's always a good idea to leave your game in there. There you go. So I'll get this wired up here. Hopefully I can do this with one hand. We'll see. Oh, here's the third-party video cable. I don't know if this is coming through real clear, but it's one of those make-it-yourself things, because you can. I don't think this is going to cooperate. Hold on a second. We're good. Alright, so you do that, you plug your controller in, you're just about ready to go. Unless you're playing a game with an overlay. Like this one here is for Doom. This is one of the more intuitive overlays. This one I like, where all the buttons are used for weapon select. Other than the PC version of this game, this is the easiest weapon select of any version of Doom there is. So you don't have to cycle through all the weapons you don't want to use. If you're in the middle of a boss battle or, crazy fight or something like that. Here's your controller with the overlay on it, just for reference. Feels kind of cheap since the overlay is not in there real tightly, but I guess that's how it happens. And then, because I forgot to mention this earlier, To reset your games, you hit star and pound. Like that. So we got the TV ready to go. You just power on. There's our nice problem with the video cable. See how it's black and white? That's the stupid video cable. So to solve the problem, we'll take a candid shot of the Jag CD real quick as we're walking by to the back of the TV. I usually don't take the system apart. I just took it off for purposes of filming the base unit. And I did get the Jaguar CD brand new. Yes, it works like a charm. Found that along with this video cable I use on Best Electronics. They're an old Atari warehouse based out of California. Good people. There we are. Sorry for the shaky camera there. Horrible balance. Doom. The only console port I could think of that's probably better than this is the PlayStation game. But if you want a genuine article close as you can get to the PC, including sound effects and everything, it doesn't have music, which is kind of a drag, but all the sounds, visuals, enemies, etc. are all right up there with the PC game. It's awesome. I do have some versions that are definitely worse. Looking at you. That's another video for another day. So that's the short tour of the Jaguar. This does work pretty well. It fires up every time you ask it to, save for the little issue with the video cable, and that could be either my TV or the S-video cable itself. From what I understand, the composite part works just fine. But the other thing I've noticed, and I don't know if you can really hear it right now, sometimes it's louder than other times, but I think there's a known issue with the sound processors and these things. I have this TV turned up a little more than I normally would to just get this volume level. But I don't know if it comes through. If you hear a little like hissing sound from it, it's a faulty sound chip, and unfortunately I'm not that great with soldering. I don't really know anybody that is either, so it could mean replacing the system if and when it eventually dies. But if you can get over that, this thing works just fine. But that'd be the only issue there is. So that's the quick amended video on the Jaguar. If you have any questions about it, reliability questions, what I think of some of the games, I do have some written reviews up on the website, but not that many. It's something I'm looking to get around to, which I know we always say that, but for I'm busy with life. Girlfriends take up time. I'm busy looking for a full-time job, which takes up many hours of the week. And I also want to do a few more of my systems on here too. I got a lot of material to work with, be it consoles or handhelds. So that's it for the Jaguar base unit, and I'll get to the CD unit too. Have a good day, everybody.